You probably have a lot of Gohighlevel work you're looking to offload from your plate. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down into 10 steps, easy to follow steps, how to hire a Gohighlevel virtual assistant. We're not looking to hire just any virtual assistant. So by the end of this video, you should have everything you need to hire a great one. With that being said, first step, define details. So this has to do with everything revolving around the job description itself. So for the job description itself, I'll just write that out for the job. What you want to first touch on are the tasks. Don't get so caught up in the bigger picture thinking here when it comes to the tasks. When it comes to tasks, you want to really get in the weeds of what they're going to be doing day to day. For Gohighlevel, it might be something like you're going to be responding to inbound leads via email, chat, text, or even phone calls, handling automations. Like really make sure you're being descriptive with the tasks that they're going to be handling on a regular basis. This is also a good place to touch on tools. Gohighlevel, obviously, but also things like we communicate via Teams or we use XYZ tool, things of that nature. Make sure to put all those tools there just so they're aware. Next thing you're going to put in here, just so they're aware, is things like time zones, flexibility of times. Like, are you only open to 9 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time? Or is there flexibility? Can people work earlier or later? Make sure to just be really detailed with that information here. Next thing you're going to want to put in the job description is this more so an outcome-focused role or an activity-focused role? What I mean by that is, let's say you're hiring a Gohighlevel virtual assistant, and as I mentioned previously, they're going to be focused more so on inbound leads. Let's say you want them to talk with them via text or calls and hop on video calls, and they're more so like a Gohighlevel closer. That would be more so outcome-based right here, because that's tied directly to meetings, show-ups, revenue. But if it's more so activity-based, that would be less on outcomes and more on things like build this landing page or build these marketing assets for our email campaigns. Now, on the flip side, if they're writing the email campaigns and they're in charge of A/B testing and everything like that, then that would be more so outcome focused. Just make sure for step 1 and 2 are more so prep, like you prepping everything. So make sure you have in mind what you want them to do, to be focused more so on KPIs or just like in the trenches, grunt work, getting stuff done. Next, we want to focus in on, okay, do you want full-time, part-time, gig? My Hero VA is mostly the best for part-time and full-time, but we do have some people who want gig work too. But here's what I do. I kind of move them through a quick funnel here that you can do as well. That's supposed to be an arrow. Full. So during the interview process, depending on the role, I will pay for a gig project to see how well they communicate, how fast they communicate, how quickly they can get their work done, and the quality of the work, of course, depending on the role and what you're looking for. Then from there, I would decide on a hire, and I always hire part-time before I hire full-time. Then I can get a better gauge for a week or 2 weeks, typically a week that I do, on everything else, but on just a part-time basis. Then I transition them over to full-time. So what that might look like for you, if your goal is mostly communication, you could do a gig project of giving them a couple inbound calls and pay them for that, see how they perform. That's more difficult because that would take a bit more training, hopping on calls with people, but maybe something like making a landing page for you. Or handling emails. You could give that as a gig project, pay them, then hire them. Just have it in your mind of what this process looks like for you. Is it more so KPI focused or in the trenches work? And make sure you have these details in your actual job description. Next, step 2, what type of VA are you looking for? So this, again, is more so prep. And we want to make sure that in the job description, and just for yourself, you're thinking about things like, okay, how fluent do I want them to be in English? I've found that the less a worker is fluent in English, the more difficult it is to handle regular situations and projects further down the line. So although if a VA's English levels aren't tied directly to outcomes or activity, I still find it quite cumbersome when operating with a VA. You might find it difficult when you're like, oh, I need a landing page, here are the details, and the communication is off. So I would say communication, for me, I'd recommend their communication levels, their English levels just being good. Don't need to be top-notch, but good. Next thing that you want to understand is their past experience. So just ask that in the job description. And then also initiative. I'm just going to leave it right there. Initiative. So you want to understand their past experience and initiative. If you're fine with entry level, just be aware of that and write that in the job description. And you also want to be aware if they take initiative. So maybe work with chat. Most of you are going to use ChatGPT to write these. We also have templates that I'll give you within this video. Just make sure to use wording in there that's like, we're a scrappy, fast team, we're a startup. So people know, okay, this is not a remote job where I sit at home and hang out. This is a remote job where things happen. In the final prep or thing to understand for step 2 is how they are different VAs out there. So kind of like full-time / part-time versus gig is what I mean here. That's the big one. So you've all probably heard and tried of like Upwork and Fiverr. So I'm going to spend a little time here to really break down what those are so you can understand, okay, that's what that is, that's what I need, or that's what I don't need. So something like a My Hero VA. The majority, and this is our platform, the majority of these virtual assistants are looking for, as you can see, like part-time or full-time work. There are some that are looking for gig work too, but most are just looking for one employer for part-time, full-time work so they can have a stable job. Things like an Upwork or a Fiverr here, they're more so based on a terminology called the gig economy. They will have 5 to 20 clients at a time. They will be doing projects for you, projects for someone else at the same time, etc. Fiverr and Upwork, in my experience, I've tried using them in the past. They're basically the same thing, but Upwork is marketed as more of a higher end Fiverr, but you'll find that the people on Fiverr are the same exact people on Upwork. They're kind of just cross-pollinating their gig work onto both platforms and charging a higher rate on Upwork because of fees. And that's another thing with these platforms. You want to understand the fees. Like Upwork and Fiverr are marketed as these free platforms. And sure, yeah, they're free to sign up, make an account, message some people, and maybe get some projects done, right? But then as you pay virtual assistants or workers for their work, the fees add up. So something like this, if you want to pause the video, screenshot, or just find it on our site. In a nutshell, Upwork takes fees from you, takes fees from the VA. Fiverr takes fees from you, takes fees from the VA. And because of these fees they take from you, it's pretty expensive. And fees they take from the VAs, well, I mean, the VAs, they kind of need to make what they need to make to live, right? So of course they're going to increase their rates, which in turn charges you more, and which in turn puts more fees into these platforms. We just do kind of a subscription based model, kind of like a software, like a SaaS, where it's no fees for you, no fees for the VAs. It's just you subscribe and you're good to go. So just be aware of the fees, be aware of they're more so like one-off projects. If you're like, oh, I need one YouTube thumbnail done, then yeah, I mean, Upwork or Fiverr should be fine to get that done. But if you're like, yeah, I need somebody to handle automations, customer service, and funnels on a regular basis, then you're going to want somebody more so that's there regularly, but also incentivized. Upwork and Fiverr gig workers aren't incentivized to grow your business either. What do I mean by this? If Paulo, if you're like, hey, Paulo, you're not getting results for my business, he doesn't really have too much incentive to really figure it out and make it work for you. Like, he might lose you as a client, sure, but he's going to have 10 other clients. Same with Fiverr gig workers. So the incentive isn't tied there. With full-time and part-time workers, it's more so, hey, Laura Donna, we got to make some improvements here. The incentive is there because it's her full-time job that she's getting paid for on a regular basis. And if she loses that, she's not getting paid. So of course, she's incentivized to help your business succeed. So just to write those down, be aware of things like fees, hidden fees, be aware of things like incentives, and be aware of things like the goals of gig versus part-time and full-time. On to step number 3, so you can hire a great virtual assistant for Gohighlevel, is where to find them. I'll just make a quick list here. So you can go to myherova.com. Well, it's not spelled like that, but you can go to myherova. It's just myherova.com. It's this. Right now, we're focused in on virtual assistants from Latin America and Egypt. We've recently included virtual assistants from Egypt. Latin America includes places like Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, El Salvador, Latin America, you know. They speak Spanish and English. A lot of them speak English fluently, and same thing with Egypt, but Egypt is, a lot of them speak English fluently and Arabic or Arabic. That's an option there. Mostly good for part-time and full-time Gohighlevel virtual assistants. There is Upwork/Fiverr, and I'm just gonna group them in together because from my experience, they're the same thing. They're the same people. It's just the rates are marked up more on Upwork. Upwork and Fiverr, you can go there. I showed you a little bit there if you're unaware of what they are, but yeah, what I would say for Fiverr in particular is just be aware of this, like things like this. This isn't this guy. That's an AI photo. So they're hiding who they are. Things like, let's see, where's another one? This guy's just using a logo. Things like this. That's a stock photo. That's not that guy. They do it with, people on Fiverr do it with photos of women a lot. Yeah, like this isn't that person. This isn't that person, even though they put their name as Faith. That's a stock photo. Just be aware of that. It's a little weird. I'm not a fan of that and how Fiverr lets that happen. But a lot less of that on Upwork and our spot. And then there are other sites too. There's like a site for the Philippines directly. So those are some places of where you can actually find Gohighlevel virtual assistants. Now on to the screening of candidates. So we touched a little bit on the job post. And we want it to be an effective job post. So what I'll do on My Hero VA, you can actually go to free resources here, and there's hiring templates here. And you can just copy and paste that, throw it into ChatGPT, be like, hey, Chat, here's my job title. Give it some information, though. Make sure to be like, hey, here, actually, what am I even talking about? I have a My Hero VA GPT I can just give you. If it's not included into like here, just leave a comment below the video and I can make sure you have it. That's where you can tell it your job title. You can go into like a worker profile, like Umar's right here, copy and paste the whole thing, and then it can directly write out, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Here's the interview questions. Like it's going to prep you for a lot of stuff. So you should be able to find all of that on the site. Now, what to look for? On profiles, resumes, Loom videos. I'll be honest, I skim resumes. I don't really go into depth. I more so look at them if I'm like, okay, like this resume doesn't have tons of errors. It doesn't look like a basic Word doc, so they actually gave effort into it. I kind of skim it for past experience. I'm like, okay, this looks good. They know what they're doing. I don't do a deep dive into it personally. But what I do a deep dive into is their profile here, like Umar. He's a Gohighlevel specialist. So what I'm looking for here is, like, I can see Umar use ChatGPT to write this because of things like this, I don't know, like emojied out like that. So it's written by ChatGPT. I mean, whatever. But he put in the effort to make it look good. It's organized. It's easy to read. It's not just like a sentence or two, low effort type of stuff. His ID's verified. Or I can go into somebody like Laura. It's a couple paragraphs. It's detailed. It's looking good. I can look at Lewis. It's detailed, has bullet points. It's good. His ID's verified. His background check is verified, which means his account matches his ID, which matches his social media. So therefore, he's background check verified. Now, look into that thoroughly, and some VAs, if asked on the job post, will submit a Loom intro video. And for that, what I look for is mostly just who does it, right? I might mention at the end of my job post, hey, if you're interested, send me a Loom video or send me a Vocaroo voice recording talking about XYZ about yourself. Then they send it, and then I can gauge their English, what they look like. Is their background kind of clean? Do they have a headset? Is that relevant to the role? So it helps me gauge a lot, and that's what I look for. Now, that's a lot for screening the candidates. Red flags, like I mentioned. Get this here. Red flags. Red flags to look out for. If they're over-promising things like, I can make this the best thing ever, or their communication's slow, or it's choppy, I would just cut them out of the process there at that point. The fifth step to hire a great Gohighlevel virtual assistant is the interview process. So what you want to do is to ask situational and task-specific questions. Make sure to use the My Hero VA GPT, and if it's not in that section that you saw on My Hero VA, just let me know in the comments below. I can make sure to put it there and make sure you have it. Situational. Run them through situations of, oh, this happens in Gohighlevel. This customer reaches out to us and they're freaking out about they need a refund or something. How do you handle this? Or what's a situation where you've handled something like this before in the past, right? Or a task, right? You might be like, okay, so if you're building an automation and we want to internally let me know via email or text about this sale, how would I do that with automations? And if they're like, oh, you can do an email, maybe you want to hear, oh no, we want to do internal notifications, right? Another thing to prep for with the interview process is you want to be aware of what type of VA you want. Do you want them to be highly skilled, or do you want them to be like a great diligent worker who's open to learn. You'll often find that the great diligent worker with great English who's willing to learn costs less than the expert, the person who's highly skilled in it. That's often how it will go. So you got Umar here for an example. You can be like, okay, I just want him to handle it because he knows what he's doing, right? And it looks like he wants $7 an hour. So you could go ahead, interview, and work with Umar, and he'll know what he's doing. Everybody still needs training on your specific processes, but Umar knows his way around Gohighlevel. Then there's somebody like Laura, right? She has experience with Gohighlevel tools. She's looking for $5 an hour. And it seems like she has strong work ethic and she's willing to learn as long as you're willing to teach her. Then there's people who are kind of in the middle of that. They're not necessarily an expert. They're not necessarily so green and new to something like that, but they don't have that expert-like experience. So someone like Lewis, right? He's $6.50 an hour. He has experience with Gohighlevel, but it's not like exactly what he does. He's like a Swiss Army knife in a way. So he has CRM experience, sales experience, lead management experience, specifically in the real estate industry. So it's just up to you to decide, do I want to interview all of them? Only experts, only people in the middle, only people at the beginning? I would recommend just going through as many as you can because you never know, right? So next thing for the actual interview process, of course, you want to be testing for communication. Oh, I butchered that, huh? What's up with that? But the actual interview process, schedule them out on your Google Calendar, have some video calls. If the level of English is poor, there's somebody you got that says, yeah, this is going to be an issue, listen to that. It's going to cause more problems and more headaches later on down the road. And just let them know that it's not going to be a good fit. For rounds of interviews, I like doing 2 max if it's like a management role or above. But if it's anything like a cold caller or they're handling funnels and stuff like that, I'm more so focused in on past experience and portfolios. But yeah, I'll do 1 video call and just leave it at that. I'm not somebody to do like 6. Something like that. I think that's way too much. On to the 6th step to hire a great Gohighlevel virtual assistant is to do a test task and then a trial week. So what you're going to do is do a paid test task. The only way I ask for a free task is if it's beyond simple to do. Like, that really revolves around content, right? I asked someone, I was like, I'm looking for someone to make shorts on a regular basis for me. And I was like, record a 7-second TikTok short of you talking and pointing in the air. And that's it. And I had somebody quote me on that to be like, this is going to be $100. And I knew right away this person wasn't a reasonable virtual assistant to work with. And then there were other people who gave me like a free video just being like, here, we're looking for this. And then they sent me that, and I was like, great. They sent it without any trouble. It was on time. It took them like a minute and a half to do. So that's the only way I would say do free tasks, is if it's beyond simple. But if it's something like, hey, I need to gauge their Gohighlevel experience with automations, yeah, I would do a paid task and be like, build me out this automation, I'll pay you XYZ. And at this point, you should be weeding people down via their communication level, their speed, their experience, how they're sounding on calls. Then you can be like, okay, I now have like 3 people. Let's send all of them through, all 3, onto a paid task. That might be $60, $50, whatever you feel is right for the complexity of your individual project. Pay them that, and then whoever performs the project the best, you typically, and the fastest, with the least trouble, you typically move them on to the final round. Then from there, you've already done your paid task, and I like calling this a trial week. You don't need to tell them it's a trial week, but for you it is. There's no harm in telling them either. They might just feel a bit more pressure, which could be good, could be bad. I don't tell them, but in my mind, it's more so I'm like, hey, you have the job, you're hired. And it's more so like training, but I want to see if I can train them on one specific task for this week that's simple that I can train for in like one day in a few hours. And then they practice it, they mess up here and there. I jump back in, I'm helping them out. And the goal for that trial week for me is, can this person learn my processes fast enough to be like, here's this thing we're doing, and then by the end of the week, completely have it handled without my intervention. If they can do that, then I'm going to continue paying them part-time. And if they can continue doing that with multiple tasks throughout the upcoming weeks or month, I'm going to transition them into full-time. That's how I'm thinking. Now, on the flip side, if they fail this trial week, I would see things like they're late on their first day. They're late on their second day. They're taking an hour to respond to one of my quick Slack messages, right? I'm keeping track of all of these red flags that I'm seeing. And even if they can handle that task by the end of the week, I need to also weigh that with the red flags that they're showing and decide, okay, this trial week is a direct reflection of how they're going to be behaving the next week after that, full time. Do I want to deal with that? Yes or no? Not categorize that. Make sure to really like be aware of these, document them, and then just decide what you want to do moving forward with that information that you're seeing. The 7th step to hire a great Gohighlevel virtual assistant is the onboarding and setting expectations. So this one kind of goes before the one mentioned previously, but as you go, you want to make sure you're setting up SOPs for your onboarding experience. So what I do is I do Google Docs tied to Looms. I record out one specific task. I attach it to the Google Doc. And then, like I said, I give 1 week beginning to end, hand holding, training wheels on the bike, walking them through it, and they should be able to handle that by the end of the week. Also, what I'll do with that is daily check-ins with the VA as they're learning. A lot of people I've found are too hands-off at the beginning. You have to train them, just like anybody else. Even if it's like someone like Umar here. Where's he at? There he is, Umar. He's great at Gohighlevel, yes, but he's not great at your processes or what you're looking for. He's still getting used to you as a human being. So make sure to have those video calls regularly when you can, early on. And then you also want to make sure to set KPIs. I don't know why there's a apostrophe there, but make sure to set KPIs and check in with your worker regularly, like end of week, beginning of week with KPIs. Also for expectations, do you want them to give you a game plan at the beginning of the day and then to give you kind of like, here's what was accomplished at the end of the day? That's totally fine too. That's what I do. KPIs, a lot of those can be tied to, where are we at? Outcome and activity, because for activity, if it's just building things, making calls, you want to check in on those KPIs for those activities. How many calls did you make this today? How many calls did you make this week? KPIs for outcomes, how many leads did you get? How many sales? Now moves on to the managing and retaining them. So like I said, you want to make sure you're giving feedback, so daily feedback if you can, weekly FaceTime if you can, going over KPIs. You want to make sure, like at the very beginning, you have Slack, click up whatever you kind of use, and then do performance check-ins, right? If you've decided, okay, this person's great, I paid them for a gig, it looks great, part-time, it's great, I'm hiring them full-time, it's great. Have performance reviews for 60 days, or for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. What do I mean by this? It's different than just those regular kind of meetings going over KPIs. It's more so like, what are our big project initiatives? Our big project initiative is maybe to make 10K in sales per month. It's like, okay, 30 days, check in, we only made 4K. Why? What can we improve? What can we go over? Then you can go and do a deep dive into it and be like, okay, the goal for 60 days is 10K. 60-day review, you can see, okay, they built these funnels, they tweaked it, It increased the conversion rate from 3% to 4.2%. That's great. Can we here on the opt-in? So it's more strategy, but also make sure to retain them during these time periods. You're asking them questions on a regular basis. Hey, how's the job going for you? Is there anything I can improve as an employer? What are your goals? How's life looking for you? Make sure not to forget that this job is just as much for them as it is for you. So if you want to be a good manager, put the ball in their court and see how you can help them in their role and succeed in their life. Some common pitfalls to be aware of throughout this hiring, managing, training, retaining process. Try saying that 10 times fast. Some common pitfalls you're going to find is just being vague. A lot of y'all, you might not think it's you. You want to hire someone, them handle the task. I'm an internet millionaire. Everything's handled. I don't need to do anything. You're going to fail. I'm sorry. Like a lot of drop shippers out there, it's just not going to be that way. You have to be an employer, and you're just the only difference between you running a business and being a solid employer here in like the US or elsewhere is you're not hiring talent that's living directly in the US. It's international talent. And you need to be detailed. You need to have SOPs. You need to have like steps 1 and 2, things prepared in your mind beforehand of what you want. You got to be organized with this stuff, right? Let them know what you want. And if they're not meeting those expectations, at least you're clear with them. And then you can say, hey, here's a roadmap to improvement. And if they're not hitting that clear, concise roadmap, then you can let them go and move on, right? Just keep it simple. If you're paying them weekly, pay them weekly. If you're paying them bi-weekly, pay them bi-weekly. Do not miss payments. Any missed payments or any lack of communication on your part, or if you're not showing them FaceTime or training them early on, is going to lead to them ghosting or firing, right? There's a lot less ghosting when it comes to Latin America and Egypt than there does to like places like the Philippines. In the Philippines, I would say you might get ghosted like 30% of the time. I've never been ghosted from Latin American or Egyptian workers, so I can't necessarily say, but yeah, you're going to have people leave if you're not paying on time, or if you're not training them early on, or if you're vague. So make sure not to do those. I also mentioned, I actually tied in that one, not training. Or if they're getting poor results and you're just kind of ignoring them. So what to do next? The 10th and final step, what to do next? You have to decide what's your goal. So with Gohighlevel, is your goal just to be like, I need some image assets created for a landing page? Go to Upwork or Fiverr. So then once you kind of figure out your goal, maybe your goal is to have them do lots of things, the automations, the funnels, the emails. Then what you'll do is decide, okay, like, where can I find them? This pen is not working. I'll just show you. You can just go to myherovA.com. Right, I'll show you the process here. I think it's this one. Yep. So there's no fees. It's free to sign up, try it out, make a job post, check things out, check out the platform. When you sign up for free, you do get access to these free resources. And then you can filter all the workers here. You can look for Gohighlevel workers specifically, and then you can decide on your own, okay, I want to interview the expert, the people I can train, the people who are kind of in the middle. That would be the next step that I would recommend. So if you're looking for full-time, part-time, Gohighlevel virtual assistants, I'd recommend clicking below this video, going to myherovA.com. Hopefully this was useful to you. And if you have any questions about anything else regarding Gohighlevel virtual assistants, feel free to hit me in the comments below.